Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Lalita Vishakha Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Lalita Vishakha Jaya Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Rukmini Dwarkadish Jaya Rukmini Dwarkanath Rukmini Dwarkanath Rukmini Dwarkanath Rukmini Dwarkanath Jaya Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivarjakacharya Stotra His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananda Gauri Vaishnavanda Ki Jai Samaveta Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari All grace to assembled devotees All grace to assembled devotees All grace to assembled devotees All grace to Shri Guru and Gauranga All grace to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 15, Text 30. So please repeat after me. Tan Vikshya Vatarasana Chaturaha Kumaran Vridhan Dashardha Vayasaha Vidita Atmatatvan Vetrena Cha Ashkhalayatam Atat Arhanam Tau Tejaha Vihasya Bhagavat Pratikala Shilo Tan Vikshavata Rasanam Chatura Kumaran. I'm sorry, I'm just used to this meter, so please bear with me. Tan Vikshavata Rasanam Chatura Kumaran Vridhan Dashardha Vayaso Viditatma Tattvan Vetrena Chas Khalayatam Atad Arahanam Stau Tejo Vihasya Bhagavat Pratikala Shilo Okay, yeah. And the Brahma Samhita meter, right? Brahma Samhita meter. Brahma Samhita meter. तानान् वीक्ष्य वातरसनां चतुराकुमारान् वृद्धान् दाशरथ वयसो विदितात्मतत्त्वान् वेत्रेण चास्खलयताम् अतद् अर्हणां स्तौ तेजो विहस्य भगवत् प्रतिकूलशीलो तान् वीक्ष्य वातरसनां चतुराकुमारान् वृद्धान् दाशरथ वयसो विदितात्मतत्त्वान् वेत्रेण चास्खल्यताम् अतद् अर्हणां स्तौ तेजो विहस्य भगवत् प्रतिकूलशीलो तान् वीक्ष्य वातरसनां चतुराकुमारान् वृद्धान् दशार्धवयसो विदितात्मतत्त्वान् वेत्रेण चास्खलयताम् अतदर्हणं स्तौ तेजो विहस्य भगवत् प्रतिकूलशीलो तद्वीक्ष्य चतुराकुमारान् वृद्धान् दशार्धवयसो विदितात्मतत्त्वान् वेत्रेण चास्खलयताम् अतदर्हणं स्तौ तेजो विहस्य भगवत् प्रतिकूलशीलो तान् वीक्ष्य वातं श्वसनां चतुराकुमारान् वृद्धान् दशार्धवयसो विदितात्मतत्त्वान् वेत्रेण चास्खलयताम् अतदर्हणां स्तौ तेजो विहस्य भगवत् प्रतिकूलशीलो तान् वीक्ष्य वातं स्वचनात् चतुराकुमारान् वृद्धान् दशार्धवयसो विदितात्मतत्त्वान् वेत्रेण चास्खलयताम् अतदर्हणां स्तौ तेजो विहस्य भगवत् प्रतिकूलशीलो Vaishnavis. Tan vikshya vatam chaturakumaran vridhan dashardha vayaso viditatma tattvan vetrena chaskalayatam atadarhanam scho तेजो वियस्य भगवत् प्रतिकूलशीलो. Anyone else? So, word for word translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Tan, them, vikshya, after seeing. Vatarasanan, naked. Chaturaha, Kumaran, Chaturaha, 4, Kumaran, boys, Vridhan, aged, Dashardha, 5 years, Vayasaha, appearing as of age. The age. Vidita had realized Atma Tattvan, the truth of the self. Vetrena, with their staffs. Cha, also. Ashkalayatam, forbade. Alat Arhanan, not deserving such from them. Tau, those two porters. Tejaha, glories. Vihasya, disregarding the etiquette. Bhagavat Pratikula Chilo, having a nature displeasing to the Lord. So translation, the four boy sages who had nothing to cover their bodies but the atmosphere looked only 5 years old, even though they were the oldest of all living creatures and had realized the truth of the self. But when the porters, who happened to possess a disposition quite unpalatable to the Lord, saw the sages, they blocked their way with their staffs, despising their glories, although the sages did not deserve such treatment at their hands. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The four sages were the firstborn sons of Brahma. Therefore, all other living entities, including Lord Shiva, are born later and are therefore younger than the four Kumaras. Although they looked like 5-year-old boys and traveled naked, the Kumaras were older than all other living creatures and had realized the truth of the self. Such saints were not to be forbidden to enter the kingdom of Vaikuntha, but by chance the doormen objected to their entrance. This was not fitting. The Lord is always anxious to serve sages like Kumaras, but in spite of knowing this fact, the doormen astonishingly and outrageously prohibited them from entering. So thank you very much. I'm really elated to be sitting amongst these exalted Vaishnavas here. I've been listening to each lectures previously by previous speakers. They've actually raised the bar. It's so difficult. They have such wonderful knowledge of the scriptures. They're well versed with the verses and everything. So I want to make sure that I want to do some justice to this verse and also to those previous speakers who've been so wonderful. I can only pray, Aha Prabhu Korodaya Dehmamore Padachaya. This aha word is very important in Sanskrit. The formation of words is very important. It's so interesting. Aha means, anyone knows what the meaning of aha? The first syllable, like just to tell you an example, in English, the vowels and consonants are jumbled together. So A to Z. A is the start and Z is the end, right? So exactly like that in Sanskrit, A is the start of the Varnamala, and Ha is the end of the Varnamala. So what it means is, I don't have to express myself, I don't have any words, whether starting from A or ending with Ha. So I cannot really express. So what that's to say. So that's actually meaning actually the meaning of aha. Well, like we sing, aha Prabhu Korodaya Deho More Padachaya. Aha. So I cannot really express, but still I'm saying something. Please take care of me. Please give me the margadarshan, give me the path. Show me the path. So interestingly, so is also these words here. Shukadeva Goswami has chosen beautiful words here, like Vatarasana. Vatarasana means, Vata means air. Rasana means they were wearing air. So what it means? So they only had air to cover them. So they were absolutely naked. They had no dress on them. Vatarasana. Chaturha means 4, of course, we know that. Kumaran means, of course, boys. Vriddhan, of course, like say, how old are you? Say, Vriddha means old. Vriddha means old. Vriddhan means, how old are you? Like we say that. Say, Vriddhan. Dashartha. Dashartha is very important. Dashartha means half of 10. Dasha means 10. Ardha means half. Half of 10 is what? 5. So they were aged 5. So this is wonderful expression Shukadeva Goswami is expressing. In Sanskrit it's also so beautiful. Shukadeva Goswami has his choicest of words to explain all these things. Dasha, Ardha, Vayasaha. And Vidita, all that. And then I want to come to that word, Vetrena. Vetra means stick. Vetrena. Vetrena. Ashkalayatam, forbade. Stop them. Kalayatam means to slide. You could say slide or fall down. So forbidding is called askalayatam here. Atat arhanam, not deserving such from them. Atat means like this. He says like this. Something like this is not required. It's not really, they don't really deserve that. Tau, of course, tau is of course. Tam tau. Tam is singular form, tau is two. It's plural form. Sanskrit has singular, dual and plural. So tau is dual. So they are addressing tau, both of them. Who are these? Gatekeepers, Jaya and Vijaya. So Srila Prabhupada explains this wonderful verse, beautiful. He says, although they looked like 5-year-old boys who traveled naked, the Kumaras were older than all other living creatures, and they had realized the truth for themselves. So they all realized souls, and they didn't really deserve that, because they wanted to come and meet who? Krishna, or Lord of Vaikuntha. And especially we know that this conversation, well, I'm just speaking out of my experience, and also out of my hearing from, like this word has been doing a lot of rounds here in the classes. Yathashrutam, you've heard this before? We've been reading in the morning, like about Prahlad Maharaj. Yathashrutam. As I've heard, Yathashrutam. So Yathashrutam, I've heard from advanced devotees. So I'd like to repeat all those things. This is nothing my manufacture. I've just whatever we heard, I'm just trying to give that. So we understand this is a conversation between Lord Brahma and the demigods. And demigods are approaching Lord Brahma just to find out exactly what's happening. So it's been explained, the acharyas explain, that demigods are actually artha devotees. There are 4 kinds of devotees the Bhagavad Gita talks about. Artho, Jigyasur, Artharthi, Gyani cha Bharatarashbha. Chaturvidha bhajante yomam janasukritina arjuna. Artho, Jigyasur, Artharthi, Gyani cha Bharatarashbha. So they are artha devotees, those who are in distress. The moment there is distress, they will come running. Come running to who? Either Brahma, Lord, or Lord of the Vaikuntha. So for the artha devotees, the memory is very, very short. It's short-lived. Mostly who are approaching the Lord in distress. Like we know Indra. Indra knows very well his position. And in the 10th canto, like when Satyabhama is hankering for Parijata Pushpa, one Parijata Pushpa just came and fell into Dwarka. So she's hankering for Parijata Pushpa. And Krishna finds out it's actually from heaven. He goes to Indra and asks him for the Parijata Pushpa. He says, oh, why don't you give it to me? Satyabhama is just asking. I'll just plant a tree here. Indra says, no way I can actually give you. He knows the position of the Lord. Just because their memories are all short-lived, they don't really remember the importance of the Lord, the supremacy of the Lord. And also the same Indra, we know, like Bali Maharaj. From Bali Maharaj, Krishna, Vamanadev, snatched the position of Indra's position and gave it to the present Indra. Then eventually he promises Bali Maharaj, the next Kalpa, I will give you that position back to you. So again, Krishna goes to Bali Maharaj, not Bali Maharaj, to the present Indra and says, okay, give it back to me, your time is over. He says, no, I won't give it back to you. So this is all short-lived because we're all artha devotees, like me. I mean, I can talk about myself. Like whenever I just get into a car to drive somewhere, I'll say, Namaste, Narasimhaya, Prahlada, and all that. So once I get out of the car, the Namaste, Narasimhaya is just completely forgotten. Everything is all over, finished, okay. So what happens when I'm walking on the street? Who's the protector? I completely forget about that. But especially I just do that prayer because it's artha. It's because I'm in distress. I know I will be in distress. So I'm in distress. So I want to pray. It's an interesting factor. About a couple of weeks ago, I was just walking past this police station, the Culver City police station. I just go for an evening walk. So when I was just walking past, I saw some young recruits there. I mean, every week they have these young recruits come and join the force. So the sergeant was asking a question to one of the recruit. He was just on his face. He's all over. I could see that, that spit falling on his face. He says, "Do you know what happens when you're not ready?" Then before he could answer, he says, "Do you know what happens when you're not ready?" Then before he could answer, it just went on like that. I was just thinking, oh man, is he talking to me? Then I thought, yes, he's talking to me. I just put up the volume of my kirtan. So I was thinking, do you know what happens when you're not ready? Do I know what happens when I'm not ready? So when I'm not ready, what happens? So I was just thinking, oh, I should chant more. So I just started running and jogging right up to my destination, started chanting and everything. Then after some time, when I just calmed down, I completely forgot about that. So when I came back, on my way back, I could just remember that. Oh. So, like Artha, when you're in distress, those actually who are governed by distress, Artha devotees, like me, I can talk about me. So you are forgetful of the situation. You're always forgetting who is the boss, who is the Lord. So exactly like that. So especially in the previous verses, Lord Brahma is actually talking about talking to demigods. And one of the commentators of Bhagavatam, he's expressing his feelings. So there are 3 points Brahma is actually making here. One is, he's talking about Vaikuntha, glories of Vaikuntha, because when the demigods approached, they know what the reason demigods have approached him, Brahma. He knows the reason well, but he's just talking circuitously, going around. He's just talking about the Vaikuntha Loka. He could have just straight away answered that question, because Brahma was looking for an opportunity to glorify Lord Krishna. Like any time, any devotee, if you just talk to a devotee, always they're looking for an opportunity to glorify Krishna. They're just looking for some partners whom actually they can talk to. So, exactly in the same manner, Brahma, that's point one, is Brahma is wanting to glorify the Vaikuntha Loka. And also at the same time, the second point he's making is, he's also readying the demigods for the impending danger. He's mentally preparing them for the impending danger, what's going to come up. And the third thing is, Brahma is lamenting. The previous verses we can see how Brahma is actually lamenting. He says, how, alas, I was also born as a human being. I can actually discuss these wonderful pastimes of Vaikuntha. And he also says how unfortunate the residents or the common people really don't discuss about this Vaikuntha at all. So he's lamenting. So the 3 things Brahma is actually expressing. So people in general don't really discuss about Vaikuntha. So then we also had some discussion about the previous verses, some discussion about how Brahma wanted to be born as a human being. And also the demigods will also be eventually praying to be born as a human being. Because we know when you're born in a demigod's body, it's only bhoga yoni. You can only enjoy the senses. You cannot do any karma, or you cannot do anything akarma or anything for Krishna, so that you can actually elevate yourself. It's absolutely impossible. Shine punyam martalokam vishalam. So Bhagavad Gita talks about this. Once their pious activities are all finished, they will always come back to this material world. So, and Brahma, we know Brahma is our Acharya. Not that he doesn't know, there is also a superior loka which is existing. In Brahma Samhita, he's talking about Goloka namne nijidhamne taleshatasya. Devi Mahesh Haridhamne Teshu Tesu. So he's talking about there's also a Goloka Dham. And Goloka Dham, underneath the Goloka Dham is Haridham. He's actually talking about this Vaikuntha Loka. In Vaikuntha Loka, we also heard how Vaikuntha Vasis are. They have 4 hands. Imagine this room full of People with four hands. Four heads. One has a mace, one has a conch shell, one has, not everyone has one. One has a disc. So somebody wants to spar with somebody. So they want to check whether it's actually a disc or not. They maybe want to try it with somebody else. So that kind of a situation. So everything is kind of universal. Like especially when you see in the Western world, you go to any mall, you go to any Walmart, big stores. You go to the West Coast or East Coast or any coast for that matter, north or south. The items they have is all the same, absolutely the same items and placed in the same places. You go to any mart, you can just go and pick it up. Like go to Home Depot, you can just pick those things right there. So everything is universal. America, everything is universal. But if you go to a small town, like a college town or something, you see in corner store who's just selling groceries, somebody is selling flowers and different things like that. So there's a variety and variegatedness. So in Goloka, there's variety and variegatedness. We'll talk about that. So not that Brahma doesn't know about the higher planetary systems, he knows about that because he's talking in the 10th canto, 14th chapter and 1st verse. Now midyate abravapuse taridambaraya gunja avatamsa paripicha lasanmukhaya vanyasraje kavalavetra vishana venu lakshma shriye mridupade pashup angajaya. This is our standard for dressing the deities. Brahma is our acharya, our sampradaya acharya, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So Brahma says, I pay my obeisances, now bidyate bravapu. Bravapu is freshly formed clouds. His body is full of, like a color of a freshly formed cloud. Bravapu say, Tarit ambaraya. Tarit means, you know Tarit? The meaning of Tarit? Probably should know that. Lightning. But this lightning is not unpleasant to the eyes. This lightning is something which is wonderful, beautiful, so pleasing to the eyes. Tarit ambara. He's wearing a beautiful yellow garland. This is how Brahma found Krishna after the Brahma Vimohana Leela. This is how he found. Tarit ambaraya gunja avatam saparipichalasanmukha. Gunja avatam. Gunja means gunja flowers made of berries. He was offered by the cowherd boys a garland made of berries. Otherwise, Krishna also wears Vajanti Mala, Krishna also wears Vanamala. Vanamala especially has been explained. Tulasi Kunda Mandar Parijata Sarkar Sarorahe Panchabir Pushpam iti Proktaha Vanamala iti Prakirtite. It's been said the Vanamala contains 5 flowers. Tulasi, Kunda, Mandar, Parijata, Karsarorahe. We can talk about that later some other time. These are the 5 flowers. And then Vajanti Mala is of 5 colors. So Krishna wears this. We also should know that because especially when we were growing up in a village remote part of India and our hero was Clint Eastwood. So we know our hero is Krishna now. While growing up, we'll do a fast draw. You know, we have a stick and do a fast draw and we'll always be thinking, when will I go to Beverly Hills? Meet Clint Eastwood. So the point I'm trying to make is since our hero is Krishna, so we should know everything about Krishna. And we have to learn from our acharyas. Now vidyate bravapuse taridambaraya gunja avatamsa paripicha. Paripicha means beautiful peacock feather. Lasan mukhaya, beautiful, wonderful, smiling face. Vanyastrajaye, kavala vetra vishana venu. These 3 things are very important. Kavala, Krishna is holding. Sometimes the deity is not formed like that. Krishna is holding in his beautiful hands. What is he holding? Different kinds of pickles. In his hand he is holding the yogurt rice given by Mother Yashoda. He is eating yogurt rice and also licking on the pickles, which is actually he's hiding in between his fingers. Vanyastraje, Kabala, that Betra Vishana Venu, there's 3 things. Whenever we dress Krishna, we should always have that. Betra means stick. Vetrena, this is the verse we see here. Vetrena, by a stick. Vetra. So Krishna has a beautiful stick on which he rests his face while cowherding. Vetra, Vishana, he's got a bugle, a small bugle, so that he can collect all the cows. And Venu, Venu means, of course, we know, Venu, Kwanantam, Aravindam, Dalayataksham. So these 3 things are very important, even though we have Rukmini Dwarkadish here, but still we are paying the mood of Radha Shamasundar or either way. So these are very important for us, like Krishna has got a Vetra. Even now we can see that if you ever get a chance to come to Nandagaon, and I happen to be there, I can take you to a village where these village cowherd boys still graze the cows, not the buffaloes, graze the cows, calves. And they are almost dressed like that. When you see them and the way they rest, you can really see all this beautiful explanation in Bhagavatam. You can really see them in person. Kavalabetra Vishana Venu, Lakshmashraye Mridupate Pashup Angajaya. Pashup Angaj means he's the son of Nanda Maharaj. Pashup means one who is the caretaker of the cows, Pashup. Nanda Maharaj. Angaj means his son. Pashup Angajaya. So Brahma knows this, but the unfortunate situation is he cannot discuss that in front of these demigods because they're always hankering for sense gratification. So that's the reason in previous verses been explained again and again. Prabhupada is writing in the purport. There is no sense gratification in Vaikuntha. No sense gratification in Vaikuntha. Because that had to be drilled into the mind of the demigods that there is no sense gratification. So exactly, so for qualified people, Brahma would be speaking. So Brahma considers at a later stage, then when he's actually praying to Krishna, he's talking about this wonderful, beautiful, beautiful form of Krishna. So, and today is also, I'll briefly touch base upon, today is also Purushottama Masa. Purushottama Masa, very special for us. Just to make us understand, I'll quickly go through this and finish this and take the Purushottama Masa. For a couple of minutes, I'll be speaking about that. And then, so we talked about how Brahma knows there are also superior planets available. So to counteract all this, Narottam Das Thakur in his prayer, he says, for all the Vaishnavas, he says, the best bet is just to take shelter of Vrindavan Dham. Why Vrindavan Dham? Narottam Das Thakur says, and he is also quoting from, and also there is a quotation in Radha Rasa Sudhanidhi by Prabhupada Saraswati. He says, there are two kinds of leelas Krishna performs, or two kinds of Vapu Krishna has. One is Vilasa, one is Prakasha. In this Vilasa form, he performs all these wonderful pastimes of becoming a Varaha and Narsingha. So he comes for a hetu, for a reason he comes. He comes to protect Mother Earth. And Narsingha, of course, we know. But Krishna in his Prakasha form in Vrindavan is his original form. He comes in his original form. He is there in his original form to enjoy himself. That's for his own satisfaction. And of course, few things here and there, just killing some serpent and things like that here and there. He does that, but he's not interested in that. And when he comes, he doesn't come with a mace. He doesn't come with 4 arms. Or he doesn't come with a disc. He just comes with this beautiful flute. So Narottam Das Thakur says, our best bet is to take shelter of Vrindavan Dham. The reason is because Bhaumya Vrindavan, he's talking about Bhaumya Vrindavan. Why he's talking about Bhaumya Vrindavan, he says the original abode of Krishna, Goloka Vrindavan, is only for qualified devotees. But in Bhaumya Vrindavan, one who is sadhaka can also take shelter of the Bhaumya Vrindavan. A sadhaka and siddha both can actually take shelter of Bhaumya Vrindavan. That's what he says, for me, I'll take shelter of Bhaumya Vrindavan. And of course, he also quotes Rupa Goswami's, there are 5 potent things which actually enhances our bhakti, which is taking shelter of devotees, pure devotees, reciting, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting the holy name, Priti Purvakam Arsha Vigraha Seva, and reciting in Dhamma. The 5th one is reciting in Dhamma. So, there are many things to discuss about. I'll stop here and continue to discuss about especially this Purushottam Mas. Today is the start of the Purushottam Mas. Purushottam Adhik Mas, just to explain how it, just to counterbalance, especially we know about the Abrahamic calendars or Gregorian calendar. It's called the Gregorian calendar. Gregorian calendar has been fooling us for all this while. We should know that. How it's been fooling, we can say. So the initial 365 days were divided into 36 and 35 days, so how it came to 10 months initially. Then Julius Caesar came and said, okay, I'm a king, so I should be eternally embedded in the history. So I need 1 month in my name. So came July. And then Augustus came. He said, come on, if Julius Caesar, his name is embedded, I should also be known in this world. So he said, okay, then August came. Then I also want equal number of days as Julius Caesar has, nothing less. So we have 31, 30, 31, 28, 31, 30 like that, it just goes, and then 31, 31 comes in. 31, they had to divide this, 31, 31. And then they, to that extent that they pushed the 7th month, Sept, Oct, Nov, Dis, 7th, 8th, and 9th month, they pushed it to, what did they push it to? They pushed it to 8, 9, 10, 11. No, 9, 10, 11, 12. The Sept became, we keep calling Sept. Sept means 7. Everyone knows Sept means 7. It became the 9th month. Oct means 8. It became the 8th month. It became the 10th month. We've been fooled. So the concept of time, that's how we've been adjusted, and we understand, we used to learn that in navigation. The concept of time in Gregorian calendar is, they divided the globe into 180 degrees east and 180 degrees west in longitude, and 90 degrees latitude. So 180 and 180, 360 degrees. So they calculated one ray of sun, it takes about 4 minutes to pass one longitude to the other. So 180 into 4, 360 into 4, it became 1440 minutes. So 1440 minutes. Then it took 15 longitudes into 4 to become 1 hour. So this 1 hour is again divided by 1440, it becomes 24 hours. So this is how the whole calculation took place, the whole calculation of time, it took place. But in the Vedic calendar, there are 12 months, the 12 months are based on the, you could say, the seasons. So Purushottam Mas especially, it's once in 3 years it appears, just to do an adjustment, because the lunar calendar is always 28 days. It's actually 28 and a half days, so to be precise. And the waning and waxing moon, we all know that. I don't want to get into those details. So this Purushottam Mas was introduced. When Purushottam Mas was introduced, it was called the Mala Mas. Mala means, in Spanish you could say basuda. It's something which is abominable. Nothing. So when this Mala Mas was actually introduced, everything is a personality in Vedic culture. So Mala Mas started crying. She did perform some austerities and went to Lord Vishnu in the Vaikuntha Loka. When she went to Vaikuntha Loka, Vishnu heard her and her situation, and he was actually, he was very merciful. He said, okay, all right, I'll just make sure that, this Mala Mas, which is considered as something which is abominable, will be celebrated as the best month in the Vedic calendar. So the Padma Puran says, Vishnu took him to Goloka. Padma Puran says that. So it means that Goloka, which is separate. And also Padma Puran says that Goloka, Krishna has only two-handed form. So it's also talking about the Vaikuntha 400 form and 200 form. So Krishna was pleased by the statement. He said, okay, from today onwards, I'm giving you my name. It's going to be Purushottam Mas. So that's how the Mala Mas came into being, as Purushottam Mas. So the Purushottam Mas is celebrated. It says, and then there's a whole story about how the Pancha Pandavas, they actually ignored the Purushottam Mas. Just because they ignored the Purushottam Mas, they suffered this going to the forest. And Krishna comes to see them in the forest, and then he's perturbed by the situation, and he tells them the story, just because you all ignored. And he also tells a story about, you can all read that online, or you can just read Padma Puran. That's one of the ways of actually spending your time in Mala Mas or Purushottam Mas. And then how Draupadi is also cursed by Durvasa Muni to have 5 husbands. Not 5 husbands, but she's cursed just because she's ignoring, again, the Purushottam Mas. So the ignorance of not really following the Purushottam Mas, the repercussions of that has been explained in Padma Puran. And also the advantage of actually following the Purushottam Mas, which is, of course, the 5 potent things: chanting the holy name, taking the shelter of Bhagavatam, reading and reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, and doing Archa Vigraha Seva. For us, it's just that. And Mathura Vas. So, this is how the Purushottam Mass came into existence, and it's very, very important for us, especially. And today is the start of the Purushottam Mass, and it goes for another 28 days. Then the regular Chaturmas will continue, and it's already over time. I'll just stop here for any questions, comments, and criticisms. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you so much for the class, Prabhu. I wish I brought my notebook. There are so many nice things I could have written.
We can still discuss today's Purushottam Mass.
Oh, sorry. Actually, this question is regarding the previous topics from the verse. If that's okay.
Which one?
The question is regarding the topics of the verse. Is that okay? Not about Purushottam Mass.
Oh, questions regarding the topics?
Okay. Just to get it clear, there's no concession for people in heavenly planets, the demigods, to go directly to the Vaikuntha planets or the spiritual world. It is absolutely required for them to take a human birth. Is that correct?
Yeah, some of them are. I mean, everything depends on Krishna's. It's a beautiful pastime in Mahabharata. Bhishma is talking to Yudhishthira. Of course, we also see that in Bhagavatam, the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because Yudhishthira is lamenting. He killed so many people, so many is all friends and family. He's lamenting. So Narada comes and explains this to him. He's not really satisfied. And eventually, Krishna leads them to Bhishma Dev. So that if Bhishma Dev explains, Yudhishthira will be convinced. So Mahabharata talks about this and it says, then Bhishma says, in fact, it says, don't trust this man. He says, Krishna, don't trust him. Because whatever he does, whatever he does, whatever he wants, and whatever he thinks, all are different. So, I mean, it's not something just, when he's saying that seriously, what he's trying to drive the point through is, because he took a sankalpa. I mean, sankalpa means something which is like, when we have to do something, we have to take a sankalpa. He says, I want to do this, so you have to put an effort in that. He's satya sankalpa. So means something, he just thinks about it. Krishna thinks about something, it's done. It's immediately done. He doesn't have to go and do it. So he went for the peace process between the Pandavas and Kauravas, and he failed. He went for it. That means he thought about it. So, actually, there is a lot of difference between that. So what he desires is only happens. He desired a war between Kauravas and Pandavas. He desired to vanquish all these demons, those who have demonic mentality. He wanted to do that. So that was his desire. So whatever his desire is. So coming to the point is, even in the demigod situation, if Krishna desires, anything can happen. There is no hard and fast rule that, after going to Indraloka or higher planetary systems, then you have to really come back to this material world. They want to come back to this material world because in the very third canto, Shashti, Samipya, Salokya, Sarupya, Ekatvam, these four kind of muktis. This is also Sarupya Mukti. We've been talking about how the Vaikuntha Lokas people are having four forms. It's Sarupya Mukti, the same Rupa, same form of Krishna. They have that Sarupya Rupa. So the Sarupya Rupa and Salokya, even though that's in Dvaita, it's in duality, mind you. Even devotees, they don't want to really take it. Vina Sevanam, without any kind of service unto Krishna. So in that, Prabhupada writes, the devotees are even bothered, not even bothered about birth and death, being born, cutting the cycle of birth and death. Even the devotees are not really even concerned about that. And he quotes this verse, Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatat Bhaktir Mahetuki Tvai, from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, the point I'm trying to make is, did I go too far on that question? Okay. The point I'm trying to make is, so it's Krishna's will. If Krishna's will is there, then we as devotees, we're not really concerned about whether going to Vaikuntha or whether any leaf is falling from Vaikuntha or not, or whether we were in Vaikuntha, all these things, all these questions, we should not be really bothered about. Our next step is, and we see these two gentlemen are going to be falling from Vaikuntha. So all these questions are debatable. So for us, like Prabhupada would say, if the house is on fire, what do? You just get out first, right? You just get out. You don't really see where the fire started and all that. So we just get out. So for us, we always think about Krishna. And then we're not really bothered about that, about what happens. Narayana parasarver na kutaschana bibhyati swarga apavarga narakeshapi tulyarthi darshana. This is the beautiful verse from King Chitraketu. Lord Shiva is narrating this to Parvati. So Narayana parasarver, one who is actually depending on Narayana, the kutaschana bibhyati, he is not afraid about going anywhere in this world. In this world, Swarga, Apavarga, Narakeshwapi Tulyarthi Darshana. He says even the Narakaloka, even the hellish planets, he's not really bound to go. He's not concerned because he's always going to be chanting. Narakeshwapi Tulyarthi Darshana. He says even Swargaloka and hellish planets, he says everything is just equal for him. Going to Vaikuntha is also equal for him. So the process is not linear. The process is whatever Krishna is wishing. So that's why we just please Krishna. Our job is just to please Krishna. And rest is all in his hands. Whatever he decides. He says, just go here, go there, go. I'm surrendering to Krishna.
Jai.
Yes, Prabhu. Right? Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi.